Good morning and welcome to Jasiri. It's 1 year and a day since President Bola Tinubu was sworn into office as President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Leading up to May 29, social media has been buzzing with comments, rage, and appeals from the Nigerian people to the government about the current state of living in the country. Unemployment, insecurity, poor infrastructure, extreme hikes in commodities, inflation, vague and poorly implemented policies, and several other things.
In the midst of the white noise is a tension so palpable you can almost cut with a knife. In the midst of the rage is a festering deep wound, feelings of sadness, confusion, and the uncertainty of where we go from here.
Do you know that it's been 4 decades since this song was sang by Sonny Okosun, still asking us, which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Which way to go? I love my fatherland.
Oh no.
I want to know which way Nigeria is heading to. We still don't know.
Yep.
Well, I know one way, and that's apparently embedded in the new old national anthem that has just been reinstated by the president. How that is our priority right now is totally, unbelievably beyond me. The British must be shaking their heads and smiling because we've
gone back to the colonizer.
It's good to know that at least we're going somewhere. If we're not going forward, we're going backward.
Oh, so you believe in any movement is movement?
Any movement.
That's what they think. Because I don't know why we're going, someone said, out with the old, in with the new, older. So if we don't know where we're going, if we don't have a forward movement or forward motion in mind, then maybe we should go back.
Oh, hold on. What? Tony Blair was in the country, wasn't he?
Yeah, Tony Blair.
No, Catherine, no.
Conspiracy theory to Conspiracy theory. But no, really.
Harry and Meghan.
But wait, guys, let's try to situate this and think about this. I'm a Ghana, looking at Nigeria. We had the same colonizer. Yeah. We who are probably never going to think of going back. And you people are going back to a song that was written by a colonizer. I'm a South Africa. You supported me during the apartheid. Yeah. You guys are choosing a song that takes you and links you back to a colonizer. I'm a, who else? I'm a Kenya. Like, I'm just thinking, what are other African countries thinking about Nigeria right now?
I think want to know.
At this point, we're literally projecting one person's interest because, according to our producer, she said that she stumbled on a video where the president, our Big Daddy, now said that that was before he even became president. That if he had his way, we would go back to the old anthem. So this is him just fulfilling his dreams. So let's see how many more dreams he's had.
Honestly, maybe it's about prophecy. He wants to lean into. The era when Nigeria was still fresh and new from the colonizer.
Is he fresh and new?
We're just 60-something years fresh and new.
Could that be that it's a whim of his? Like, he loved the anthem so much in his prime?
Hey, but he could just ask us to sing it. And he could get... Oh, in the olden days, you know that kings usually have jesters. And he could have just gotten some to sing to his
You don't understand.
His
We're all the jesters for his amusement.
Do you know what?
So he did get jesters.
I was talking about this yesterday, and I was frustrated as I was talking about it. I was annoyed that I was talking about it. I was angry that this is a point of national conversation right now. Honestly. And I don't want to talk about it, but we have to talk about it because we had a whole National Assembly that somebody sponsored a bill. It passed first and second reading. It passed the House of Representatives. It passed the Senate. And they thought this is the good idea right now in the midst of every other thing going on.
But Tolu, do you know they could have done something that we need a national anthem that is new? And a lot of young Nigerians that are... We are musicians, we're music people. There's many spoken word artists, they're creatives. They can make this a national competition that people will vie from it from every region.
And you know what's
even happened? Pick and mix.
What's happened with the new generation now, even the Gen Zs, is like a lot of us are dissociated because we don't know the old one. We're trying to believe the new one, and now we're lost. They say we should go back. Some of us did not even know when they used to sing this song. And a lot of people in schools now would be forced to learn this, and they're not interested because national anthem, Kolo Shewansi, that national anthem is not our problem.
Pepe is doing us now. I'm the local one on this table. Pepe no shame me.
We don't shop in the same market.
If anybody would take me to market this week, producer, think of Pepe. Think of Pepe. Because it's not funny
if we can go to the supermarket and sing the anthem
1,000 naira.
Goods.
3 pieces of tomatoes is 1,000 naira. Wanted to fry 5 eggs in my house, just between 3 people. We used 2,000 naira pepper to fry 5 eggs. Honestly, imagine how our children are. My children call me from school every day. Hara literally cries. I have increased their allowance, but they still say, Mommy, it's so hard that when they sell them 1,000 naira rice, it's like they just eat it with 2 spoons.
It's the same here.
And they have to use gari, and gari is
gari that you wanted to use to augment.
To augment.
How much more
1,500.
Okay,
no.
we're not the only ones who talk about how things are right now. We do have word on the streets, people, Nigerians sharing their own thoughts. Let's take a look.
This particular issue is what I don't really understand. We are talking of the increase of fuel. We are talking of things that are happening. What is the benefit of changing what they have changed in 45 years ago? That doesn't make any sense, Shab.
Well, I don't have any preference, but if they say we sing this, well, anyone who will sing will take it.
By this age, I'm old, in fact, to start learning how to sing Nigeria Will Healthy. And to me, that's not our problem. That's not the problem of Nigeria.
It's very, very unfortunate that at this level, the people in the National Assemblies are talking about old and new items. When there's insecurity in the land, when there's poverty, where inflation is 36% today, and people are dying every day. Within 1 year, May 29 to May 29 today, the people that die, if you have the statistics, it's more than people that died for like 5 years ago. You can't, for you to take a malaria drug now, you have to spend like 6,000-7,000 naira for one malaria drugs. And somebody will sit down, the National Assembly will be talking about old and the new item. Is that the problem?
Sometimes it's to give you that inspiration. For instance, though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. For the fact that our social cohesion index as a country and people is not encouraging. So we have to forge ahead. We have to develop that spirit of oneness, spirit of common bond that we feel it, the feeling that binds us together as a country and people, so we can forge ahead. So that even when we're having difficulties and challenges, we'll not say yes. So this is just temporary. This is just momentary. Tomorrow and the day after can be better.
I think a lot of people would beg to differ because you can't force oneness on people through a song. But anyways, this is one hot topic and we will not just let it slide. We'll talk about it later on the show and you don't want to miss that. But before that, we're going to be talking about a very important aspect that affects our quality of life, and that is food. Why? Because whether vegetarian or carnivore, you need food to survive. But what do you know about GMO foods? What is the regulation surrounding GMOs in Nigeria? After the break, we're joined by a doctor to help us dive deeper into the future of GMOs in Nigeria. You're right where you need to be this morning. Stay with us.
Welcome back. We're streaming live on our social media platforms. We are at News Central TV. Use the hashtag Jasiri to be part of our conversations. Now, genetically modified organisms, or GMOs for short, have sparked intense debates globally, particularly concerning their impact on food, nutrition, and health. With Nigeria's diverse agricultural landscape and growing population, understanding GMOs and the role they play and could play in our food system is essential. We are privileged to have with us a visionary healthcare leader and wellness expert. He is a pioneer in preventive medicine, wellness, and nutrition with a passion for empowering individuals to take control of their health. He's also the founder and CEO of the Nutrition Hospital and Wellness Center. Dr. Patrick Ijewere, welcome to Jasiri. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning.
Yes, we should just dive into it straight up. It was in like 1988 that genetically modified microbial enzymes were first approved for use. And then Then it was first approved for use in food manufacture. Then commercial sale of genetically modified food began in 1994. So it seems to have been around for quite a while, Doctor. Let's start with the basics, because some people do not even know what GMO means. Can you break it down for us, layman?
Amen.
GMO. The only thing I used to know about it, I used to think GMO are fat fruits and fat vegetables. That's what I used to think of when I was some years ago.
Definition, like what you learn in school.
What you learn.
It sounds like a position. The GMO.
GMO. It even sounds like an alien.
You are not helping. Let him answer the question.
Sir, can you please enlighten us a little bit?
Thank you. Genetically modified organisms actually been around before 88. Insulin originally was made out of a technology that involved part of this process. But regarding the food supply, man mates with woman, whether you're a white man, black man, Asian, whatever. Man naturally does not mate with a cow.
Yes.
The pollen of corn will fertilize the female corn. The pollen of corn cannot fertilize hibiscus. In other words, there are already species boundaries by the creator that allows intra-species.
Bingo.
Yes. In GMO, we cross those species line. So we take a gene out of a frog and put it into tomatoes. Or a gene from a bacteria and put it into corn.
Wait, so it's not necessarily a gene from another crop into another crop. It could come from any organism.
Any organism.
We didn't even know that.
Is where?
I thought they were just
from crop
mixing,
to crop.
like maybe, in Nigeria we have a type of corn that is not sweet corn. That hard one that we eat.
Yeah.
So I was thinking that GMO is just a mix of the
Maybe the
sweet
sweetness
corn
from that
and that
corn.
one they now mix it to make it like a hybrid.
So I'm glad you used that term, hybrid. Hybrid, you've rightly said, you can get red corn, let's say from Mexico, and our local native yellow corn.
Yeah, mix it.
Yeah, that's a natural hybrid. Plant them next door to each other and they will commingle.
And they will
grow.
So what about crossbreeding with crops?
Across species line or with intra-species?
Either one.
In nature, going across species line does not exist.
Oh.
It does not exist in nature. So man has to force it to occur in the lab. That's the big problem with GMO. Once you force it to occur in the lab, you have absolutely no guarantee that genetic chain will be exactly what will produce exactly protein you want it to produce. Without making it too complex, ATCG. Between the ATCG, I now put in CAT. Now, the code for CAT may be a good protein, but my reader may read ATCG-CA. That's a whole new protein. Or it may read ATCG-CATA. That's a whole nother protein. Those proteins are foreign to the human body. They say it will give you only CAT, BS. They cannot guarantee to give CAT. To give whatever it reads up and down that chain, and to cause the body to produce a bunch of proteins that are foreign to the body's natural system. And therefore, your immune system is going to do what? Hey, this is a foreigner within.
Go haywire. Okay, so let's pick up on the regulation or the controversy in Nigeria. So just about 2 weeks ago, the House of Representatives moved a motion to suspend the commercialization of GMO crops in Nigeria amid concerns over food and environmental safety. The House mandated that its Committee on Agricultural Production and Services conduct a comprehensive investigation into GMO introduction in Nigeria by the National Biosafety Management Agency. This comes after the federal government in January approved the commercial release of 4 Tela maize varieties for commercial planting in the country. So are lawmakers on the right path to suspend commercialization in terms of what we know? Because I think a lot of people missed it that the federal government has approved the planting of GMO crops in the country. And what are your concerns about GMOs in Nigeria?
Okay. You're absolutely on point that the holding back or stopping the release is appropriate. It's absolutely necessary. Number 2, you kind of led to this point. The GMO industry always comes in through the back door. They don't come into the front door for open discussion and intellectual analysis by our universities, our professors, by the media. Same thing they did in the US about 30 years ago. They came in through the back door and put their men and women into positions in government, such as in the FDA, which allowed, after scientists within FDA said that these products are not natural and they shouldn't be approved, they brought in powerful people into positions in the FDA who now opened the back door for GMO to come in. It's the same thing they've done here in Nigeria. They don't ever come to the front door because they know their products are problematic globally. That's why so many countries in Europe, including and Asia, Russia inclusive, either outright ban GMOs or don't allow its cultivation. We can bring in the end product.
Yeah.
All right, now let's take a look at take a look at a bit of history. So far, there's been at least 33 major food crops genetically modified globally. Of these, maize, cowpea, cotton, soybean have been officially approved for commercialization in Nigeria, making the country among the 6 African countries leading in biotech crop adoption across the continent. Now, having said that, it's interesting that we're pushing this forward when GMO crops have been banned in several countries like France, Russia, Germany, China, India, and a host of other countries in Europe due to what they call safety concerns. Is this something that we should take seriously? What do you think of this?
Yes, we should take it very seriously. These are countries that we deem as more advanced technologically. They can do the analysis. One of the first studies on GMO, first long-term studies, the company notoriously puts out studies that are done maybe over weeks to maximum maybe 3 months.
Okay.
One of the first studies was done by Cetralini in Italy. It was over a 12-month study where they looked at rats and they fed them this BT corn, which is the GMO corn. By the 3rd generation, the rats couldn't have children anymore. They became infertile. By the 2nd generation, problems with fertility, cancer, and other tumors were showing up in their offsprings. By the 3rd generation, fertility became a major problem.
But how, you know, when he said that, I'm like, how come some of this research or the outcomes are not publicized? Because if we were investing in something that has questionable outcomes, because these are some of the things that researchers are very, very, you know, they take seriously the outcome, because before they allow human testing, they test on animals and all that. And if they see that this is a possible outcome, why would some people continue to push the narrative? Because what good would it do?
It's all dollar signs. It's not about people or principle. It's all dollar signs. One of the major producers of GMO crops is also the major producer of agricultural chemicals, such as glyphosate, otherwise called Roundup.
Oh, the weed killer.
The weed killer. Yes. Notoriously, glyphosate had a record that wasn't so good because it not only killed the weed, it also
corrupted the plants.
Because it's the same mechanism now. Glyphosate has several patents and denotations, be it a weed killer, be it an organophosphate, be it an antibiotic, be it a chelator. So it's going to have that same impact on everything that is around it. So what's the way forward? If we can create a seed or a crop that is genetically resistant to glyphosate, then you can sell the seed and still sell
the weed killer.
The weed killer.
So it's even scarier to think, like you said, that these people usually come through the back door.
Always.
And because of that, it's no longer about the people. It's like scapegoating the people, regardless of what the outcome is, to get the outcome that they're hoping to get. Let's take a look at what's happening in the U.S. and try to link it to what's happening in Africa. The Food and Drug Administration in the United States has told Americans that it is very likely that they're eating food and food products that are made with ingredients that come from GMO crops. And these GMO crops, many of them are used to make ingredients like cornstarch, corn syrup, corn oil, soybean oil, canola oil, granulated sugar. Now, given how much food items that we've imported, it's a very obvious question, but I need to ask if we already are not eating food and food products that are connected to GMO crops.
We are in 3 ways. Number one, as I rightly said, you go to the store, the supermarket, You buy canola oil, you buy corn oil, GMO. Number two, most of our commercial farms today, be it the chicken, the poultries, or the fish farms, where do their feed come from? The bulk of the feed, 90+%, is international, imported. Any feed from US or Canada is dominantly GMO. So that cow feeding on that GMO, that chicken that you buy from the big companies is a GMO chicken by nutrition.
Wow. Honestly, listening to this.
And then number three, you have individuals who go and buy these seeds and bring them into the country without going through
the normal.
So I can't be vegetarian. I can't eat meat. Is air I'm going to start eating? Because no, at this point, the crop has questions. The animal that you're feeding with something has questions.
The whole chain.
The whole chain. Is air, doctor, just tell me to eat air.
There are a lot of skepticism about GMOs, not just in Nigeria, but around the world. And this is ongoing, nuanced, and highly contentious issues. Supporters are saying that GMO crops can help reduce poverty and hunger among smallholder farms in developing nations, and they can also lessen environmental impact of agriculture in general. They point to that genetic engineering as a tool that can help breed crops that, these are the things they sell to us. It resists droughts, diseases, and insect pests generally. But is this not supposed to be a good thing? Because over the years, at least, I've heard a little bit about when they're trying to push the GMO narrative, that this will help increase crop production, make bigger yields, more crop, more resistant to all these things we said.
You can plant year-round.
Yes, you can plant year-round. You don't have to wait for when
limited water resources, all those things.
All those other things. But are they no good to it at all?
All right. You've asked 4 questions. the smallholder farmer, the yield question, the planting all year round issue, and then the environmental question.
Impact.
Okay, let's talk about the farmers. Farmers are giving these seeds free initially. They plant it, they get a nice bumper harvest, they're excited. They try and plant those seeds again the next year. Yield drops drastically. In 2001, Monsanto and Bill Gates bought a company that makes a gene called the epicite gene. Epicite gene is designed to reduce fertility in those who consume. There are other genes in there that are designed to terminate the natural cycle of the seed makes the plant, gives you a seed and makes the plant. So the next season, the farmer gets his yield low, says, okay, he has to now go back to the same source to buy the seeds because the seeds are patented. You know how much the seeds cost? Average farmer in South Africa cannot afford the seeds. In India cannot afford the seeds. So he has to now give up something in order to get the seeds or go into debt to get the seeds.
And most likely land.
And there's some other very nefarious activities going on in terms of organ harvesting. That's another
connected to GMOs.
That's another issue we'll talk about.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Number 2, let's talk about the yield factor.
The yield factor.
This is an economic term that is used to deceive even our politicians.
In fact, it's the biggest yield.
All right. I'll give you 2 examples. You are a contractor, you build houses. You've had this guy you buy your bricks from for the last 40, 50 years. He gives you absolute quality bricks. And he tells you that 1 bag of cement will give you 20 solid bricks or blocks. Along comes the guy from across the big water. He says, this 1 cement can give you 35 to even 40 blocks. Has your yield gone up?
Yes, it has.
Your daughter comes to you, Mommy, I want to build a house. Which are you going to sell to her? 1 to 20 or 1 to 40?
1 to 40.
He's leading us somewhere, and I'm so afraid of where he's leading us.
More for less.
Okay. Which is the higher quality brick?
1 to 20.
1 to 20.
Which will more likely not cause your house to fracture or to collapse?
1 to 20.
Which will you sell to your daughter?
If it's my daughter, 1 to 20. Maybe if it's an outsider. Let's be.
So they say yield. It's the same soil now.
Yes.
I mean, if this soil normally gives me, 30, let's say 30 hectares of bumper. And now suddenly that same soil is giving me 90 hectares of bumper. Where are the components coming from? Where is the carbon coming from? Where is the nitrogen coming from? Where is the boron coming from? Where is the vanadium coming from? Where are the ingredients of the soil coming from? So you're now sharing it, instead of 30 hectares or 30 bushels, having this soil into the vegetable and the fruit, it's now 90. What have you done to the quality of the fruit or the quality of the leaf? You've dropped the quality of the product. You have made the plant nutrient deficient. And anybody who eats that plant, be it an animal or human, becomes over time nutrient deficient. And that is a major factor in many of our chronic degenerative and inflammatory medical diseases today.
Honestly, I almost started clapping because as a layman, I am not a doctor. But we discussed it on this table some time ago that almost everything you buy. Let me give an example. My girl went to her mom's place. They plant water leaf in their house. Do you know that the water leaf I buy from the market now in like a jar market, by the next day, it's rotted to water. But the one I know brought from our mom's farm lasted us 5 days before we made the vegetable soup, and it was still fresh. Almost all the pineapples you buy, once you cut the pineapple through, you can taste it's already fermented. So I know that this might have been something they've sneaked in and we don't know. Look at those huge cucumbers. Cucumbers you see, you're like...
So if we don't even begin to ask questions and be very intentional and very aware of... Like now, you've said this, one wouldn't have related it to GMOs or anything funny going on. Water leaf, it's water leaf. Well, that's literally water leaf. It's supposed to be able to last, how many? Those 5 days. But what's it with water leaves just dying or wilting after...
Have you tried ugu? It rots the same way because I have tested it. I bought ugu today. I put it in a tray. And once you put it where there's air, it's supposed to dry out. But no, it rotted.
So I'm honestly even more eager to know about the organ harvesting.
I think he's not going to walk away.
Ugu, the water leaf, are nutrient deficient. And so they cannot give you the same quality as the one that was grown in top quality soils. Our government, for many years, since the 1970s, when we had OF and Operation Feed the Nation under Obasanjo, our government began bringing in fertilizers. What's in a fertilizer?
Nitrogen.
3 ingredients. Nitrogen,
That's all I remember.
NPK, phosphorus, and potassium. But your soil needs at least 50 plus ingredients. And you call it fertilizer. It's not a fertilizer.
It's not fertilizing anything.
No, it's depleting the soil. And so over time, they plant and put fertilizer. So what they're getting are plants that are lacking the nutrients. Now you introduce, in the 1980s, we had a green revolution under Babangida. We began to bring in pesticides and herbicides massively. The example we use today is glyphosate. It's the most popular one in Nigeria today. And if you've read the news recently, there's over $1 billion payout in lawsuits in the US. Monsanto, lawsuits that glyphosate is causing cancer. That hasn't caused the US government to pull or caution Monsanto. No, they're still exporting it. But more importantly, when you apply glyphosate, this herbicide, to the soil, it chelates nutrients from the soil. That's how it works.
It leaches.
Leaches or takes out of the soil zinc, magnesium, quite often potassium and calcium, which leaves your soil
dead.
Plus, the agents of soil fertility are the bacteria in the soil, the fungi in the soil, the earthworms in the soil, and those other microorganisms. Once you put in that fertilizer, NPK, you kill them off. So that soil, over time, loses its fertility, loses its nutrient concentration. Therefore, what you grow in it repeatedly is
and then you'll need to keep going back to them. So one of the things that fascinates me about GMOs is you talked about the seeds. A lot of the seeds are not, you can't reharvest. You have to go and buy fresh every farming season. But beyond that, I'm even concerned about the food sovereignty and security. If we're constantly having to go and buy seeds from outside, we are making ourselves very sensitive, very susceptible to any form of manipulation. So let's talk about food sovereignty and security in terms of GMO crops. What's the concern there?
You've nailed it. You've nailed it. Food sovereignty is tied to your national sovereignty. If you can't feed the people, do you have a nation? If you've not sold your birthright of your seeds to somebody else, in Colombia, they caused the government to destroy a lot of the seeds, native seeds. Same thing is going on now in South Africa.
They called on the government.
The government passed a law that didn't allow native seed holders to perpetuate their seeds, and they actually went to farms destroying seeds. So the farmers rose up with arms. You destroy your native seeds, you're stuck buying seeds from abroad.
Yeah.
Let's even simplify this, because sometimes we make this thing a bit too
academic.
In the earth, you have seed, you have soil. In humanity, you have seed, you have soil. The seed is the male principle. The soil is the female principle. I repeat, the seed is the male principle. Yeah. The earth, the soil, is the female principle. Suddenly they're telling me that my sperm isn't good enough to have a child. If I want a child, I should go to a factory in America and get sperm.
What do our people do? Because we've talked about the fact that food imported is already most likely touched by GMOs. Yeah. We have the fertilizer conversation now. If I'm someone who's, this morning I woke up, I wanted to go to the market, right? I can't even go to any market. I will sit down and be like, what am I supposed to do? Yes. What are people supposed to do? Is there any way, even if it is there and I don't know, for me to reduce or lessen the impact of GMOs on my family?
All right. I'll give you 4 answers. Number 1, on the individual level, like your family did. Yeah. Start to grow something, whether it's water leaf, ugu. You can grow something. Can be in a small pot, can be in the vase. Start to grow something somewhere in your home, front or back or side yard. Start to grow something, number 1. Number 2, if you're part of an estate, get folks in the estate to participate. You could be the one growing ugu, you're doing water leaf.
A community garden.
Community garden. Number 3, on a national scale, we need to wake up the federal government. I have had the privilege to debate the NBMA DG, Rufus Egbeda, at a program in Abuja. After his delivery, I told the host, make sure he doesn't leave. After his delivery, him and his 50 people that came left the folks and didn't listen to the other presenters. On other TV channels, I was privileged to debate the lady who, the female DG of my NBTTA. It was sad. The video is on YouTube. Because these people haven't got the depth of knowledge and they're given in positions of authority. So you need to put people in authority who understand these issues. GMO is nothing new. We're late to the party. The US has been doing GMO for the last 30 years. What is going on? If you talk to the medical practitioners in the US, and there's an awesome documentary, there are books written out there, where when they take folks off GMO, their health conditions improve. Or totally resolve. Now, number 4, there needs to be a massive awakening to who we are. We are part of nature. In God's kingdom, there's a theme that is dominant. It's called a circle. It's a circular theme.
Circle of life.
Yes. I call it divine circularity in everything around us. We're adults today. We have children. Child, birth, and from fetus to birth, toddler, infancy, next adult, the cycle continues. The whole
circle.
Same thing with the seed and the fruit. Plant the seed, it gives you a plant, you get the seed, and you replant. Even water, earth goes around the sun. Everything in God's kingdom is circular. You now tell me I should interrupt God's circularity and stop planting the seed that God has given me. I should come to your factory and buy seed from you. When did you become God? When did you become, who gave you that authority? And let me say this very clearly. Whenever you interrupt divine circularity, you cause problems for generations to come.
That's my concern, because even the research now it has not gone to the 2nd and 3rd generation of humans consuming GMOs. So the trial studies you talked about from Italy that have seen certain responses or certain outcomes in the rats, we unfortunately don't have those same outcomes or those same studies in humans. But the US you mentioned, I've seen a lot of it, because now you have an obesity crisis. Literally, people cannot shift the weight. Children under 5, 6, 7 years old are obese, clinically, definitively obese. Then they talk about what they use for cows in terms of what they use to vaccinate. You vaccinate them. It has now come out into generations of children. And so you have a movement in the US that's trying to be very vegetarian, that's trying to remove, but we are, as you said, late to the party.
And then this thing he even said, it's very scary, because what you just said about the male and female principle thing. So the male one is there where you're saying that the seeds are not good enough, you have to buy. But even even after years when we've realized that, oh, we need to start replanting our own seeds, we're now giving fertilizers that kill the soil in its
one of the best in the world.
Yes, so the female principle is also being destroyed because now you're saying that the soil in itself that has some nutrients cannot fertilize on its own. So you're loading it with fertilizers that don't even have the nutrients. So when we now decide that we want to start planting our own, the seed is dead, the soil is dead. It's scary.
Let me even tell Doctor, because I'm very Greek. Earth and everything fascinate me. I don't know if you know about this aeroponics.
Oh, growing them upside down without soil.
Now we are growing
without soil.
Without soil. Yeah. In fact, I reached out to the company because I like to know. It's just water in sun, and you pass it, you put some nutrients in the water, and if you see what comes out from these aeroponic towers, and I'm wondering that who is going to put a stop to everything unnatural? Because when Doctor was saying, after some time, the traditional seed in itself will be completely lost.
Yeah.
Look at the way we are all going, and everybody is quiet about these things. Look at the rate of cancer across the world. Have you noticed? Yeah. We need to do a statistics. PCOS has increased in women. I don't know any woman now in Nigeria, on the tip of my hand, I know 20 that have PCOS. That means they have periods don't come regularly, and a lot of doctors will tell you that eat right. I know people that are now eating fruits and vegetables, but when doctor now says we're eating fruits and vegetables that are nutrient deficient, so where is the win? Where is the win?
I think this is shocking. Catherine, you have the last question. Spiritual. I rarely see the ladies on the table gobsmacked and silent.
Because it's a ripple effect that we can see. The way the doctor has explained it is so clear, even to the layman. Do you understand? We have to, and this is not a sit-down look period anymore. We have to really have. You have to grow what you can grow. Whatever it is, remember we had Chef Gina who was here. She says anything she cooks,
they grew in concrete.
They grow. So maybe we have to now be intentional. Some people may say, oh, they're not, what do you call it, green-thumbed? Yeah. It's not, you don't have to be green-thumbed. Guy, whatever it is, just pour the water on the floor.
So the scary part.
That's all I was going to say.
Is environment. So I have an organic farm where I grow natural corn.
Okay.
The guy 1 mile down the road decides he's going to do GMO. What happens to the pollen from his cornfield?
Is it going to be cross-pollination?
Of course.
Yes, the wind will carry it into
so even if you're saying oh my goodness.
the wind will carry it
Let's all
and
be
contaminate
getting ready
my
to
organic
go.
field. So GMO is an absolute pollutant and contaminant to the environment.
Are there NGOs? Because this is some cause I would love to work for. Scream out. Because in Nigeria, we're not used to saying something loud.
We don't even take it as seriously as we should.
We should.
Okay, it doesn't really concern me.
Catherine, you have the last question before they close.
Sorry. My very last point. Earlier I mentioned the epicite gene. Please look it up. It causes men to have a drop in their sperm count. The men who consume food that have the epicite gene create antibodies to their own semen. Women who consume GMO that has the epicite gene in it create antibodies to male sperm.
So inside the body, they'll not be fighting.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Now, so we know that we're fighting a battle. Like we say, we cannot win. Lolo said that. Now let's try to even tinker on regulation. What is the stance of the National Biosafety Management Agency? All of them.
I didn't even know that an agency like that exists.
I had to check to reconfirm that yes, it's a National Biosafety Management Agency. Where are they in all of this? I mean, do we even have a framework for compliance, for approval?
Standards organization.
Listen, can we even regulate? Are we even thinking about it?
I'm loving the reactions. The two of you are vocal. Blessings is lost in thought. As in, she's just, it's obvious she's assimilating everything that we've heard today.
Because if we're looking at, we have agencies like NAFDAC. They are supposed to regulate. There are some times that we export from here. And the standards organizations of that country will
reject
say,
it.
It's not working. But here, there was even a time that there was a tattoo ink that was brought into Nigeria was hurting people. At that time, we
have to go, but we'd like an answer to the final question, Doctor, since we've laid it on the table.
On regulation, it's important.
I'll say this very boldly. there are two agencies that were designed, created in the very last days of the Jonathan administration. NBM is one of them. The DG whom I encountered was Rufus Egbeda. If you listen to Rufus, he parrots GMO is safe. No studies to say it's unsafe. It is nutritious, nutrient dense. It's increased yield. He parrots all the things that the companies have taught him to parrot. I use the word parrot. I don't use it mildly because I would debate Rufus any day, any time. He's parroting what they are preaching. There's some NGOs pushing out the same thing. There are even some university people who are pushing the same thing. They're also in the same thing. When you get into this depth of discussion that we've had today, you'll see there's no substance. None. And I will debate them any day, any time.
I think we'll have to continue this conversation.
Okay. One thing I'm going to say, though, is very important to create awareness. And I like that we're doing that here because here we don't just, lead you to listen. We also learn as well, as you've seen on my expression. But thank you so much, Dr. Patrick Ijewere, founder and CEO of the Nutrition Hospital and Wellness Center, for such an insightful conversation this morning. And we really do hope that people will take it up. The debate on GMOs rages on, but we will sure keep our audience up to date on an issue that has long-lasting ramifications. I've learned a lot, and I'm sure our viewers have as well. We'll go on a short break, and when we come back, it will be time for Hot Topics. So stay with us.
What a wholesome conversation we've been having. If you missed this episode, honestly, I will put it on my social media. I'll put it on my WhatsApp because these are conversations that we need to amplify. Because it's just like when people talk about mining. We have known that there is illegal mining in this country for years. But we cannot, look, we're facing food crisis, food scarcity. Now we are facing other epidemic, pandemonium. I wish we had that. This is such an appropriate song for Odumeje. Because this is pandemonium, cataclysmic.
There's literally a chance that in the next few years, our natural seeds will be extinct. Totally extinct. And it's really scary. So I'm used to the fact that they, add chemicals to beef up production, get yield and all, but I did not know that it was to this
Do you know
extent.
when I hear Aproko doctor sometimes, I will do as if I can't hear it, but do you know many of our marketers,
I know, because
women in the market, even with all, do you remember there was a time that they were saying killer beans?
Yes.
Because they were spraying with
They were spraying with cyanide.
With cyanide and
they do not
kill the weevils.
Many of them do not know. I always tell people that the stronger, I always tell people I buy the mildest insecticide, kill me. Because the stronger the insecticide, you must know that it will definitely do more harm than good. Look at some of us that will say when you spray the house with insecticide, you're supposed to be out for like an hour or two.
Some people say no.
But now you even spray some of them. Honestly, you and the mosquito
will be dancing. And
I
like the fact that you bring up the mosquito thing because now we're seeing that they want to do, is it vaccine or something for malaria? But we're hearing that mosquitoes are resistant.
Yeah.
We're using all of the
now we're using combination medication.
The combination. All of it as the doctor said, it's such a cycle, and we're interrupting the cycle at different points, and we think that nature is not going to fight back. I think maybe I've watched too many Hollywood movies. Eventually, this might go on for a few years, and then there's a mutation or something.
So we are already mutating. PCOS for me is a mutation.
You know,
and it's not just happening to food. How about the plastics in the ocean?
Microplastics already in your water.
Microplastics are in the ocean. It's in the fishes.
There's so many.
A lot of people will say things are changing. People no longer live as long.
Of
people
course.
are no longer as healthy, and you don't know why. These are the
things.
reasons.
And there are multinational companies sitting at the end. The problem is money.
Lolo has entered this. She has entered this one now.
No, that's
because
what he
the
said,
problem
that
is
they
money.
come through the
We're
back door.
talking
They put people in power.
Yes.
That would allow
you
it to
said
happen.
push their agenda.
Organ exchange.
He didn't touch on it. And I need to go and read
That
that
headline.
I need to go. What is
These
the
are things that-
correlation between human trafficking, organ trafficking, and GMOs? Me and the doctor have a
There are
conversation
so
after the
many
show.
things that I research on, and when I read about it, if you talk about it externally, people think it's conspiracy theory, and you begin to fear. Honestly, there are so many things we should just abhor. Anything from cans, if you can, honestly, eat it as sparingly as you can. I'm pulling back, even on my family. I'm telling my children that some of these things are dangerous. So let's eat spaghetti and not eat some other variants.
But the spaghetti that you're eating, wheat, if we can get that list, is one of the 33 things that has been genetically modified across the world.
And now in Africa, the gari that we have, they tout gari to us as bad.
Yeah.
But gari is a probiotic.
Yes,
but now they make you
sour.
feel like, oh, our gari would make you fat. There is, all our food classes in Africa are good. The bad thing we have is the proportion at which we eat it.
Yeah.
So if you increase your veggie, that's what Asians do. What is so special? They eat all the greens and soups and things. We have it too.
I just really worry about, because he talked about the head of the National Biosafety Management Agency, we mentioned Standards Organization of Nigeria and NAFDAC. There's just not enough conversation. This is up for national debate. Yeah. One of the few times I will applaud the National Assembly, the House of Representatives, for standing firm on this. And I hope that they continue to stand firm until we have done our own investigations, not just investigations or data that comes from abroad, but our own investigations. And this is why we're saying national anthem re-engineering is not. We have issues on the table. We have issues on the table. I'm concerned, I'm worried, and you know, I tell you, I grew up in the US, and so I grew up in a generation of girls that were girls who were starting hitting puberty at 9 years old.
Yes, and it's
just now that they're finding out, oh, it's some of the things they were giving to the cows, it's some of the food that they were eating that was forcing. Precocious puberty is an issue where a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old is growing breast, is developing. A lot of this is tied to the food intake, and we're late to the table to protect our people. We're late to the table to investigate. We're late to the table to stand up for ourselves.
I think the government, we need to give the government a place at the table. Sit them down and talk to them.
Honestly, I just think this is something we need to all shout about. Whether you like it or not, 1 in 10 people will come down with cancer. Before, we used to read about some of these chronic diseases, but now...
You know somebody.
Do you know how many people I know that are tube-fed now? From just intestinal problems.
All right, we have to go. And I think that the reactions we're having on the table here are probably the reactions we're also having at home, which means we need to say a very big thank you to our guest today, Dr. Patrick Ijewere, for coming and joining us today. We're going to continue this conversation, continue to ask questions. We'll be reaching out to the National Biosafety Management Agency to let us come and talk about GMOs and also let us know where they stand. Tomorrow is Hot Topic Special, and you know, of course, we're going to have a fantastic time starting at 10 a.m. West African time on Friday. Until then, we'll see you later.
Yeah, bye.